A beautiful eastern country filled with stories, natural beauties, gold, and spices, which are the reasons why the island attracts Western colonizers. But what if the Philippines weren't colonized by Spain, America, Japan, and any other potential colonizers from the past? The name of the Philippines is derived from the name of King Philip II of Spain. During the expedition of a Spanish explorer in 1542, Ruy López de Villalobos named the eastern island of Visayas, Filipinas, in honor of the current king of Castile, Spain, and eventually called the entire island Las Filipinas during the time of Spanish colonization. When the Americans colonized Las Filipinas, they changed the name to the Philippines, but the question is, what would probably be the name of the island if no powerful countries colonized the island? The answer is, I don't know, but the closest name that probably exists today if the country weren't colonized is Mai, a name given to us by Song Dynasty China, or probably the name Tondo, since the Kingdom of Tondo is the hub of trade and commerce in pre-colonial Philippines. Early people on the island of the Philippines were animistic. They believed that all living things have spirit, and this is the prominent religion before the Spanish came. Pre-colonial Filipinos honor mountains, trees, rivers, and other significant features of the natural environment because they believe that it is possessed by distinct spiritual qualities. If Filipinos weren't colonized by any colonizers, these beliefs would probably exist until today. People would honor some natural phenomena such as the thunder, moon, sun, the rain, the wind, and childbirth because these are identified as deities and gods according to the early beliefs of Filipinos, and people would be more attached in nature because it is the center of the belief. Pansit, tikoy, takwa, and more. These are some of the foods influenced by the Chinese in the Philippines, but Filipinos are more than that if the island weren't colonized by the colonizers. Chinese and Filipino maritime trade are so strong during pre-colonial Philippines. Through these trade, the custom and traditions and the gastronomy of the Philippines are very much alike to China due to their influence during pre-colonial times. If the Philippines weren't colonized, the maritime trade would be one of the main part of Filipino culture, and the culture and traditions of Filipinos are more closer than East Asian culture rather than Hispanic or Americanized. The bad side is there is a possibility that China would own the island, just like what happened in Vietnam and Taiwan, but only 30% of possibilities because the island of the Philippines was ruled by different kingdoms. Despite of hate and discrimination gets by the queers in the country as a fruit of colonization, the history of queerness in the Philippines remains so strong since queerness is one of the main parts of pre-colonial Filipino culture. Filipino ancestors are allowed to marry a person on the same gender because they believe that some of the deities are also queers. Babaylans are the first witches, and healers are also transgenders and women. They are highly respected people in the society during pre-colonial times. If these culture weren't erased by the Westerners, Philippines is probably one of the most LGBT-friendly country in the world. Trans people would still remain one of the most respected people in the society due to their position, and Babaylan tradition would still practice until today. Filipino shamans, witches, priestesses, and healers are commonly known as Babaylans, are one of the most important people in the pre-colonial Philippines as they communicate with ancestors and otherworldly spirits, heal illness through their herbal lore, and foretell future events. They are usually females or transgenders, and they are one of the most highly respected members of society like Datu and Raha. They were immortalized by the colonizers and erased until a huge part of their practice died, but what will happen to the Philippines if the Filipino shamans aren't erased by the Spaniards? The community probably preserved the unique practice of the Babaylans that was never discovered by the present-day healers in the country. Babaylans from the past were also warriors and advisors, and they would be totally honored by the people today if the Philippines weren't colonized. Just like the Polynesians, tattoos are part of the culture of early Filipinos. It is not just body ornaments that symbolize beauty, it also symbolizes tribal identity and social status. These tattoos are prominent in the Visayas and highland parts of the island, and their meanings depend on the tribe. For example, the Manobo tribe tattooed themselves so that they couldn't be eaten by the giant monsters who preyed on unpainted humans. In Ibanag beliefs, tattoos symbolize the key after death. They believe that if the dead person is unpainted, they cannot enter their ancestral land of the dead. In Ifugao, it symbolizes bravery and a badge of honor. This practice still exists among the highland tribes in northern Luzon, and it is called Batak. If this culture is still practiced nationwide, people are probably tattooed today, and it would be seen as art and identity and not associated with criminal gangs. After a long colonization of Europeans and Americans on the island, the preference of Indios also changed when it comes to skin color. People seen fair skin as feminine and beautiful and become the standard of Filipinos as a symbol of beauty. These are the product of colonization. Colonizers taught Filipinos that fair-skinned men and women during the era are better looking than dark-skinned people. People forget to embrace the real skin color of Austronesians, and it is seen as a curse until now. The most disappointing part of being a Filipino citizen is the media, who are supposed to promote morena skin in public, but they choose to promote skin whitening products. Casting in actors and actresses are also toxic because managements prioritize fair-skinned people. If the island weren't colonized, Filipinos would embrace their brown skin and it would be seen as beautiful, like how Africans and other colored people embrace their true colors. Colonizers not just taught colorism during their rule, but they also instilled the Eurocentric beauty standard. They taught the importance of having a light skin, small nose, long straight hair, doe eyes, high cheekbones, and thin physique, which some of the features are not in the features of Austronesians. Through these beauty standards, Filipinos lost their identity. The majority of teens and adults forgot to embrace their natural features by following the European beauty standard, but the identity crisis is not just prevalent not just in beauty but also in ethnicity. Many Filipinos are whitewashed and believe that they have colonizers' blood when in fact only 0.3% Filipinos have European ancestry. If the island weren't colonized, this identity crisis probably wouldn't exist in the country and everyone would probably be proud of their roots. Baybayin is an ancient Philippine script and writing system used by the early Filipinos and was used in Tagalog language, which is the standard of Filipino language. This has been obsolete since the rule of Spaniards on the island. Spaniards taught high-status Filipinos how to write and read Spanish, which spread on the island after a century after they brought their literature, laws and religion in the country. But what would happen if the Baybayin still used it until today? Our alphabet would probably be written in our own script. Signage, billboards, literature, and textbooks are probably written in Baybayin. Everything is probably Baybayin except the school and government, because English is a universal language today. Philippines is rich in natural attractions, especially white beaches, which is the reason why many tourists visit the island. But what if the island never colonized and Filipinos preserved their exotic and unique culture? Just like the preserved exotic culture of Nepal, India, Japan and Thailand, many people will visit the Philippines to witness the practice of high priestess and witches. Many people will visit the islands using the traditional boat Caracoa. Tourists will learn the beauty of Baybayin and other native scripts. The island will become one of the best places to visit during Pride March because queerness is part of the culture. Many tourists will visit the island to witness the beautiful temples for Filipino gods and deities. Many tourists will visit the island to have tribal tattoos from Filipino mambabatak all around the island, and most importantly, tourists will visit the island to witness the beauty of people. For more related content, please don't forget to subscribe, share and like my videos. Thanks for watching.